waiting for the streams to go. Everything is working as it should. All right, excellent. Let's go ahead and monitor the streams, make sure that they are being sent over properly. Here we go. Okay. All right, so now we go ahead and get started. Okay, so here we go. We are currently, so what is the purpose of the stream? The purpose of the stream is to demonstrate the acquisition of academic skills and rigor, namely the ability to capture thought well in handwriting, the ability to write good notes, and the ability to then recall those notes and use them with good facility and with fluidity of thought, okay? And so with that being said, this is just demonstrating the process of copywork of the book by Sonke Ahrens, How to Take Smart Notes. Excellent book from first published in 2017 and then again in 2022. And it is a detailing of the process of how to take good notes that enable you to reproduce or to think in an insightful and understanding way. Really well worth your time. If you're interested, there's a link down below where you can purchase a copy of the book for yourself. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. I am currently on page 98 in the book, and we just keep on pushing through. And without further ado, let us continue. Here we go. So we had just finished. We're talking about a story of Shereshevsky, and his ability to he was not able to forget anything. This is a famous case in psychology. And here we go. So the science of learning is still undecided on the question of whether we all share Shereshevsky's ability to memorize virtually everything we ever have encountered, or are only better at suppressing it. After all, sometimes we suddenly remember scenes from the past. So here we go. After all, sometimes we suddenly and then suddenly, that should be suddenly right there. Suddenly. There we go. Let's go ahead and check and see if that is correct. And yep, that is. Sometimes we suddenly remember scenes from the past. Remember scenes from the past in great detail. Triggered by a cue, like the scent. Triggered by a cue, like the scent of a madeleine. Madeleine. It's a type of cake, I think. In Proust's recherche. Whatever. In Proust's. So we go Proust. In Proust's, that's Marcel Proust, recherche. So that is recherche. Recherche. How to say that? Recherche. That'll do. These moments of involuntary memory, these moments of involuntary. Let's go take a look at that. Involuntary. Involuntary. It's an interesting word. Memory. Might be like small cracks in the mental barrier. Might be like small curves up over, right? So we go KR cracks. Should be that. Let's go ahead and confirm. So we go KRAKS, cracks. Go ahead and check. Yes, not quite as curved. Not quite as curved over the top. KRAK and then S. Cracks in the mental barrier. In the mental and then barrier is going to be hard to say whether barrier is going to include the A or not, so I'm going to go barrier, and then we'll see if that was correct or not. So we go barrier. Hey, beautiful. So it does include the A, and then we just add the E. So there's barrier. Small cracks in the mental barrier through which we can catch a glimpse. Through which we can catch glimpse. There's glimpse. It's a long stroke. Let's take a look. Glimpse. There's glimpse, and that is exactly correct. Very nice. Oh, no need for the P though, just glims. So we'll go looks like we're back online, so there's just going to be a slight hiccup. So we'll continue. Through which we can catch a glimpse of all the memories we have. So a glimpse of all the, and then memories we have collected over our lifetimes. We have collected over our, and then lifetime. So life is LIF and then TMNS. Let's see if that's correct or if it's even shorter. Nope, that's it. Very nice. Collected over our lifetimes. It is fun. I do have to, every once in a while, I do have to celebrate when my brain is starting to capture the symbols, but might never again have access to. But might never again have access. I might curve the other way. Let me go ahead and check. And yes, it curves. It doesn't have quite as sharp of a turn. So we go in, access, like so. Have access to. And that's the end of that paragraph, okay? So let's go back and read it, because one of the most important things with learning shorthand, it really, in fact, I was just reading someone's statement regarding learning shorthand, and it was that you're essentially learning how to read and write again. And so because of that, you have to take as much time reading it as you do writing it. So this kind of kills two birds with one stone. I know I've said that a lot, but in a way I think I'm trying to convince myself. Okay, so back at the paragraph, the science. Here we go. Let's go ahead and save the page. And we have the science. Grab the highlighter. The science of learning is still undecided on the question of whether we are, or whether we all share share Shereshevsky's ability to memorize virtually everything we ever have encountered, but are only better at suppressing suppressing it. So that should have a dot under suppress to do suppressing. Suppressing it. Continuing. After all, sometimes we suddenly remember we suddenly remember scenes from the past in great detail, triggered by a cue like the scent of a madeleine in Proust's Recherche. That's going to drive me crazy if I... What is a recherche? I know that that's a famous literary reference, and I have no idea what it is. Recherche. Proust. What is it referencing? In Search of Lost Time? Oh, okay. In Search of Lost Time. First translated into English as Remembrance of Things Past, and sometimes referred to in French as La Recherche, and it's by Marcel Proust. Okay, and I guess in there, so the book itself is called La Recherche, and I'm guessing that a scent of a madeleine, and a madeleine is a type of cookie. Let's see here. Madeleine cookie. Yes, they're a traditional small sponge cake from France, with a distinct shell-like shape and a soft buttery texture. So that's a madeleine. Okay, good. All right, research is over. Back to work. Q, like the scent of a madeleine in Proust's Recherche. These moments of involuntary, so we move on. These moments and moments, I think the O should be the other way, isn't that correct? Let me see. Moment. Yes, it does curve the other way. So we go back here, and moment is M, O, and then S. So we go M, O, and then S. Moments of involuntary, there's a word for you. Involuntary memory might be like small cracks in the mental, um, barrier through which we can catch. Ooh, that's carch. Yeah, because that makes an R. So I think catch requires it to go inside if you have like this. And then that way this is catch. K, A, and then CH heading down. Catch a glimpse of all the memories we have collected over our lifetimes, but might never again have access to. So that was the paragraph. Now moving forward, we have forgetting. So we go forgetting, comma, then would not be the loss of a memory, would, so this can be a stroke, wouldn't be a loss, wouldn't be a loss of memory, comma, but the erection of a mental barrier. But the erection, so that's going to be ER, maybe erect, so R, ERK, shun. ERK, shun. Erection, unless maybe it requires an E in the center. So it would be erection. Let's check it. It requires both. So it's necessary to have both an E at the beginning and then an E through the center, and then it falls down. So that is erection. The erection of a mental barrier of mental and then barrier again. Oh, and yes, and this requires the E. Between the conscious mind and our long-term memory. Between the conscious mind and our long-term memory. Where was I? We'll see how much of it was lost. We just have bad dropped frames. Ooh. Yeah, it's just bad. Wow. Yeah, it's just bad. Wow. We came back online now. Hopefully we stay there. Sometimes it's just unexplained, the reasons why. Yeah, because it looks like we're back now. Oh, man. It's quite oh, and there it's dropping again. So I think what I'm going to have to do is restart. So let me go ahead and, yeah, I think I'm going to stop the stream and then start again. Hopefully that fixes the issue. So let's try it again. Well, hold on. We're back now. Maybe it's a case of the watched pot never boils. Looks okay. Are we good now? Looks all right. Are we staying? Are we staying? please. Okay. Well, I'll keep an eye on it. So let's go back to what I was just doing. Thankfully, I go slow enough that if it drops out, it doesn't really matter. It's almost the case of whether it's laggy or not. I just keep on going. So here we go. Back at the work. Let's see. We have term memory. So long-term memory, and now we're talking about the definition. So psychologists. Let's make this just a little bit bigger. So we have psychologists call this mechanism active inhibition. They call this mechanism. So mechanism is going to be mechan mechanism. Let's see if that's correct. Mechanism. All right, that's pretty much exactly what it's supposed to be. Did we freeze up again? No. No? All right, good. Now I'm paranoid. All right, so let's go ahead and check this. So we have mechanism. Mechanism. Active inhibition. So we have active inhibition. That would be inhibition. Inhibition. Let's take a look at that and see if that is in the ballpark. Yes, it is. We just require a single E in front. Undo. So let's go ahead and move this down here. And there we go. Config term a cloud. It's just a bad time for it, I guess. Because we're back now, so we had this happen, what was it, yesterday? Was it yesterday or the day before? But that was earlier in the day, so, and whereas yesterday the timing was just fine. So not sure exactly why that happens, but we just keep plugging away, plug. One thing I do want to check over here is, let me check restream.io, see what's going on there. We do have connection. Yep. Interesting. All right. Well, we just keep plugging away. Plug. All right. So what was that? It was in McLeod. Mick and then loud. Loud. There we go. 2007. And then going on, it is easy to understand what it is good for. It is easy to understand what it is good for. And then you got your colons. Without a very thorough filter, without a very thorough filter, and filter, filter. Our brains would constantly be flooded with memories. Our brains would constantly, should be constantly, let's check that. Would constantly be our brains would constantly be flooded by memories comma, making it impossible to focus on anything. Making it impossible to focus on anything. Let's add another page below here. How to take smart notes. HTTS in, still section 11, page 14. To focus on anything in our surroundings. To focus on anything in our, and then surroundings is going to be SRND, surroundings, I believe. SOSU. Surroundings. I don't know if I've done surroundings before. SURR. Right? Surroundings. SURROND. There we go. Ah, yes, I think I've done it. It's just been a little bit. So here we go. This is surroundings. Surroundings. Oh, and it's a case where we get to use the disjointed S on the back side to do surroundings. Period. Without a very thorough, that is what Shereshevsky struggled with in his life. That is what having a little blank. Okay, tongue-tied. Shereshevsky. Ski. S ski. And then a final ski at the end. Oh, all these foreign names struggled with in his life. Shereshevsky struggled with struggled, I believe it's STRG. See if that's right. Yes, and there's no need for a break between them, so we can clean that up. And we have STR RG, and then struggled, add the D afterwards, within his life. Within his life. Colon. There were moments when he tried to buy an ice cream. There were moments where there was a moment is what it should be. There was a moment where he tried to buy an ice cream and that's 2 words, so that is ice. Let's look up ice. Yep, it curves the other way, so go ice and then cream, comma, but some random word of the vendor, but some and then random, so that's ran, R, A, in, and then dem, random word of the vendor. It could be vendor is not a word. How about VND? Vend. Oh, it's spelled, of course. It's that's the British spelling. Huh. So vendor is vend, and then you have to have an R afterwards. So you go vendor, vendor. Triggered such an enormous amount of associations. So some random word of the vendor triggered some, or triggered such an enormous. So such, and then enormous is enormous. So that would be enorm, and then us at the end. Let's see if that's correct. Enormous. So there's no necessity for the us at the end. It's just enor. So we go enorm, and then the rest is considered already enormous. So there we go. But some random word of the vendor triggered such an enormous amount of associations, and that's AMT of associations is going to be associations is AS associations. Association. I can't think of how that one should be, so let's go ahead and check it out over here. ASO shun. AS. So we go ASO and then shun and then S below that. So we have associations and memories and memories that he would leave the shop, that he would leave the shop. So overwhelming was this experience. So overwhelming. Let's see if that's correct. Overwhelming. There it is. And yes, that's correct. Overwhelming. Let's go ahead and fix the curvature just a little bit. So overwhelming was his experience, was this experience, was this experience. And that's the end of the paragraph. So now we go back to the previous paragraph. Check it out here. The forgetting then would not be a loss of memory, and that was 2007. Okay, there's McLeod. Forgetting then is what we're looking for. Also the paragraph marker. Either one will do. There it is. So there's forgetting. And I need to drop a paragraph marker here. Forgetting then wouldn't be a loss of a memory, but the erection of a mental barrier between the conscious mind and our long-term memory. Psychologists call this mechanism inhibition. They call this mechanism active inhibition, and that is Confiture McLeod 2007. It is easy to understand what it is good for without a very what was that filter? Very thorough filter. Without a very thorough filter, let me check filter. Oh, it curves under. So let's go ahead and fix that here. Very thorough filter. Okay. A very thorough, and then filter. Filter was the other one. Yeah, that's pretty much what it needs to be. Maybe just a little bit longer on the L stroke. Can get my proportions right. Curves back in. So without a very thorough filter, our brains would constantly be flooded by memories. And let me check flooded. Is that correct? Flood. Oh, flood isn't even in the dictionary. Okay, so flood has been added. Moving forward, so where was flood? FL, old, and then flooded. Yep. Flooded by memories, making it impossible to focus on anything in our surroundings. That is what Shereshevsky struggled with in his life. There was a moment when he tried to buy an ice cream, but some random, let me look up random. Yep. Some random word of the vendor triggered such an enormous amount of associations and memories that he had to, is that had to? That he would have to. That he would have to. So I need to add that. Let's put the would here, that he would, and then have to is below. Have to, carry on, have to leave the shop. So overwhelming was this experience going on. We are very dependent on a subconscious mechanism. We are very dependent, and then dependent, doesn't it require a T afterwards as well? Dependent. And it does curve up, so it's depend and then dn after that. So we go dependent. We are very dependent on a subconscious mechanism on and then subconscious. So that's going to be S conscious. Let's go ahead and see if that's the case. Subconscious is not a word, but we do have conscious. Oh no, we do have subconscious. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, okay, so conscious requires the SH stroke. So let's go ahead and fix that up here. So it's an SH stroke. We go sub and then drop this curve and then go down like that. Okay. Subconscious. We are very dependent on a subconscious mechanism. We get to use the word mechanism again. So we go mechanism. Subconscious mechanism that reliably inhibits. That reliably inhibits. Oh, and then we need a dot for hibit. For reliably inhibits. We'll check inhibits. Oh, it does require a T at the base. So inhibition and then inhibit. So we'll add that here. Inhibits. Okay. Reliably inhibits almost every memory. Almost every memory. Every moment except the very, very few that inhibits almost every memory, every moment. Except the very, very few. Except, so that should be except the very, very few. Let me check accept. Yep, that's accept. And let's change this here. The very, very, so let's fix those. We need very, very, and then few. Let's check few. The very, very few. Very, comma, very. That are truly helpful in a situation. That are truly helpful in, and then situation is going to be Sitchen, right? It's a SH and then shun. Let's look up that, see if that is correct. Yes, good, good. The T needs to be just a little bit smaller, and the S should be a little bit more curved, like so. Okay? Situation that are helpful in a situation, comma. And then we have unfortune, and then unfortunately, I believe is the term. We do need the A. So we go like so. We have unfortunately, comma, we cannot just consciously pluck from our memory. Unfortunately, we cannot just pluck from our memory what we need, like from a folder. What we need, like from a folder in an archive. What we need, like from a folder in an archive. In an archive. Period. That would require a memory we can choose from. That would require a memory that we could choose from. To be already in our conscious mind. To be already in our conscious mind, comma, which would render the mechanism which would render the mechanism of remembering redundant. Of remembering redundant. So we go redundant. No, redundant is redundant. It requires a double stroke. So we go redundant, and then a T, redundant. I think it's just redundant. Yep, no extra T at the end, just DN. Redundant, period. And where was that? Remembering is the very mechanism to bring a memory back. So we have remembering is the very mechanism to bring a memory back into our conscious mind. to bring a memory back into our conscious mind. Therefore, Shereshevsky, might not have had an ability, might not have had an ability most of us do not possess. Therefore, Shereshevsky might not have had an ability most of us do not possess. Most of us do not possess. Possess is going to be po and then zess, I believe. Let's check possess. Yes, just a little bit longer of a P stroke, and then that should do it. So curve that down, and then out, and then in. Possess. Possess. We don't possess. Most of us do not possess, comma. Oh, do not. Yeah, that works. Did not, do not. Don't possess, comma, but lacked an ability we all possess. But lacked an ability we all possess, and that's possess, colon, the ability to forget systematically. The ability to forget systematically. And that should be systematically. Yes, so all we need is we just put the little circle. We put the circle in there, and then we're good, ready to go. Okay? All right, so there's systematically, hyphen, to inhibit most irrelevant information from being remembered. So hyphen, to inhibit most irrelevant information from being remembered. Most irrelevant, and that should be correct. I think it's just ERV. Try it again. No, that does require the whole. I wonder what, I can't remember what the other word was that was just EV. So, was that reveal? No. So here's irrelevant. So we're going to go like so. That's irrelevant. To inhibit most irrelevant information from being remembered. To inhibit most irrelevant information from being remembered. From being remembered. Okay, and that takes care of that paragraph. So now let's go ahead and go back and read over it. Starting here. We are very dependent on a subconscious mechanism that reliably inhibits almost every memory, every moment, except the very, very few that are truly. Let's look up truly. Is that truly? Yeah, that's not truly. Truly needs the that are truly helpful in a situation. Unfortunately, we cannot just play. We cannot just pluck. We cannot just pluck from our memory what we need. What we need, like a folder, like from a folder in an archive. Let me check folder. Yep, that's folder. Like folder in an archive. That would require a memory that we could choose from to be our that would require a memory we could choose from to be already in our conscious mind, which would render the mechanism of remembering redundant. Remembering is the very mechanism to bring a memory back into our conscious mind. Therefore, Shereshevsky might not have had an ability most of us don't possess, but lacked, and that's the L needs to be a little longer, so let's go ahead and make this longer. But lacked an ability we all possessed, the ability to forget systematically, to inhibit most irrelevant information from being remembered. All right, so that takes care of, put that there. Alrighty, so we lose connection? No, we're good. Hello, you still, oh. All right. Shereshevsky was still capable of inhibiting information. Shereshevsky was still capable of inhibiting information, was still capable of inhibiting information, comma, but even being much less fine-tuned, but even being much less fine-tuned, but even being much less fine-tuned. Tune, E-U, so this is going to be T, tuned, probably. Let's go check that, tuned, T-U-N-E. Nope, just a U-hook, no need for the, no tuning, it's just a tune, so tuned. Oh, nope, and it curves up, so we go tuned, being much less fine-tuned can have serious consequences. Let's fix the fine. Fine-tuned can have serious consequences. And consequence, is it consec? I think that's consequence. Consequence, yes, consec. And then we just add an S to it for consequences. Save the file, clear this out, so we go consequences, okay? Period. Being too often overwhelmed, being too often overwhelmed by memories, associations, overwhelmed by memories, comma, and then associations, associations. Let's check that, make sure. A little bit more of a larger A, so move it up also a little higher. Associations and synesthetic experiences. So we're going to have to add that to the word or to the lineup. Synesthetic. So that is synesthetic and then ST. Static. Static. st static static synesthetic. Let's check that. I know that synesthetic is not there, but possibly the static ending. So let's go STHETIC. Oh, STHETIC. And we need segment mode, so we're going to go segment mode. There's static. So we need syna, SE, and then static. Synesthetic. So that should help us a little bit. We go syna, and then the circle under it for static. Synesthetic. Like so, okay? Experiences. Made it difficult for him. Made it difficult for him to stay in a job. To stay in a job and enjoy many of the things we highly value. And enjoy many of the things we highly value. Let me check enjoy to see if that's correct. Yes, good. That is correct. Many of the things we enjoy and enjoy many of the things we highly value. We highly and high, I think highly is that, right? Let's check. Yes. And then we put a dot for highly. We highly value. Value. That could also just be val. Yep, it's just VL for value. There we go. Period. Above all, it made it almost impossible for him. So we have above all, and that's ABV, I believe. ABV. Above all, comma, it made it impossible for him. It made it impossible for him to think in abstract terms. For him to think in abstract? That's absolute. Abstract would be ABSTRK. ABSTRK, so let's see how to do that best. It would be ABSTRK. ABSTRK for abstract. Let's see if that's correct. Even easier. There's just ABSK for abstract. ABSK. Abstract. Abstract terms. period. And that's the end of the paragraph, so now we have to go back and read through that. Shereshevsky is what we're looking for, which is looking for his name right here, Shereshevsky. We begin. Shereshevsky was still capable of inhibiting information, but even being much less fine-tuned can have serious consequences. Being too often overwhelmed by memories, associations, and synesthetic, which reminds me, I need to add that to the dictionary. S-Y-N-E-S-T-H-E-T-I-C. Synesthetic. By synesthetic experiences made it difficult for him to stay in a job and enjoy many of the things we highly value. Above all, it made it impossible for him to think in abstract terms. Okay, I will be back in just a second. All right, so here we are, back at it. Now, we are on the next paragraph. This is Robert and Elizabeth Legon Bjork. Go ahead and move that down to our level. This page is already saved, so we're ready to go. This is Robert and Elizabeth Legon Bjork. Robert and Elizabeth. Robert. Robert? Or maybe Robert. Yeah, we'll say it's that. Robert and then Elizabeth. This is Elizabeth. Elizabeth. There we go. And Elizabeth Legon. So we have Legon and then Bjork. Bjork from the University of California. From the university. Let me see if that's university. Yes, that's correct. Let's just give it a little bit better proportionality. So we have University of California. I know California has its own, I think it has its own form. California. Yeah, it's Cal. K-A-L. University of California. Suggest distinguishing between storage capacity. Suggest. So suggest is S-U... That's suggest, isn't it? Yes. Suggest between storage. Suggest distinguishing. So we have distinguishing between storage capacity, ST storage capacity, and capacity. We've done that one before, isn't it? K. Something similar to that, but let's check. Capacity. Oh, that's right. Yes, it uses the lovely little. All right. Well, I guess we're back now, right? Let's see. A little bit. So we just keep on doing what we can do, right? So we have storage capacity and retrieval capacity. So storage capacity, let's make sure that's storage. I don't see why it wouldn't be, but storage. Yep, that's correct. So let's go ahead and fix it a little bit though. Storage capacity. And then we have a retrieval capacity. So retrieval is RTVAL, correct? Let's go ahead and see if that is retrieval. Nope. Retrieve. And then retrieval probably would be retrieve. Retriever? Retriever. Retrieval. Maybe. Let's look up in the dictionary. Let's look up vol ending. Vol, value, valuable, segment, validation under value, vol, equivalent, festival, interval, revalue. Yeah, so I think it's probably just going to be retrieval, and RVL will make the most sense for retrieval. Let me go ahead and add that to the dictionary. retrieval. There we go. And retrieval capacity. That was Bjork 2011. Bjork. So that's Bjork 2011, close parenthesis. They speculate that while our ability to retrieve information, they for speculate, I believe. Let's try it. It's a disjointed U. Disjointed U. So you go spec SPK and then a disjointed U for ulate, speculate, that while our ability to retrieve information, that while our ability to retrieve information is severely limited, maybe that, severely. I don't see severely, but if we do severe, and then we just add an E to the end, then that's severely. And that looks about right. Maybe the S can be just a little bit longer. So we curve down towards the base. Severely limited. Comma, the storage capacity, new page, page 15. So we're going to do how to take Smart Notes, section 11, page 15. Is severely limited. The storage capacity our brain's ability to store memories, our brain's ability to store memories could be considered virtually unlimited. Could be considered. Let's see what considered is. Yep, that's considered. Could be considered virtually unlimited. Let's see if that is virtually. Yeah, yes, it does require the L. So let's go ahead and add that. Virtually and then unlimited. Unlimited. Period. Just by looking at the physical capacity of our brains, just by looking at and then physical, that's a case where we can do we do physics and then we can do a call ending, which should be just a K, correct? So if we do physic and then call, or maybe just even fizzy and then call, P-H-Y, physical, P-H-Y-S-I-K-L, and it's just fizz and then K, fizz K. So we'll fix that up there. Change this value here, get rid of that, and now we have physical. Okay, so we have physical, capacity of our brains, comma, we could see that we could indeed probably, we could indeed store, probably, we could indeed probably, and probably, is that PRP, probably, let's see. Yep, that's correct. That we could probably store a lifetime. Could probably store a lifetime and a bit of detailed experiences in it. And a bit of detailed experiences in it. And that is that was according to Carey 2014, page 42. Carey 2014, page 42. Okay. And now we go back. We're going to take a look at Robert and Elizabeth Bjork. Save the file. Robert and Elizabeth Ligon, that's a name, so I need to make that proper. Ligon Bjork from the University of California suggest distinguishing between storage capacity and retrieval capacity. That was Bjork 2011. With they speculate that while our ability to retrieve information is severely limited, the storage capacity, or our brain's ability to store memories, could be considered virtually unlimited. Just unlimited. Just by looking at the physical capacity of our brains, we can see, it's not we could see, we can see that we could indeed, let me check indeed, there we go, that we could indeed probably store a lifetime and a bit of detailed experiences in it. And that was Carrie. There we go. Carrie 2014, page 42. Next paragraph. It is difficult, if not impossible, to verify this claim. It is difficult, if not impossible, to verify this claim. Verify this claim, comma. But it does make sense to shift. But it does make sense to shift the attention from the question of how to prevent information, of how to prevent, you need to check shift. Yeah, I was thinking it probably would require the T to shift the attention from the question of how to prevent, and prevent, see if that is correct. It does require an E, so how to prevent information from getting lost or decaying over time, how to prevent information from getting lost or decaying over time, from getting lost or decaying. See if that's correct. Oh, decay is not a word, so we'll add it. Decaying over time. To how to keep access to it. To how to keep access to it. Let's go ahead and check access. Very good. To keep access to it. Go ahead and zoom down the page a little bit. how, quote, accessible it is, how, quote, accessible, and let's see, oh, it's probably already here, isn't it? Accessibility, accessible. Accessible is going to just be an S attached to, or a B attached to the S value. So for that one, we curve, and then we make a slight break for accessible. So we go up, accessible. There we go. How accessible it is at a given point in time. How accessible it is at a given point in time, quote, or close quote, therefore depends on, quote, how entrenched or interassociated, how entrenched, entrenched, or, let's see if that's entrenched, could just be en, interesting, entrench is not a word, so entrench. So what we'll do is we're just going to take the same, we're going to do terrain, entrenched. And I will add that to the dictionary. Okay, so we have entrenched. Entrenched. Okay. How entrenched or interassociated. So this is interassociated. Let's take a look. Associate and then ed. So let's go ahead and do associated, like so, interassociated. That representation is is rep also representation? Representation. We simply add a shun ending to it, so we'll fix that. That representation is with related representations in memory. That representation is with related, so related, I think that's related. Let's check. Oh no, it's a disjointed. Disjointed. I'll get that one day. So we have related representations in memory. Representations in memory. Close quote. That was Bjork. Bjork 2011, page 2. Close parenthesis. Learning would be not so much about saving information. Learning would not be, let's fix this, would not be so much about saving information, comma, like on a hard disk, like on a hard disk, comma, but about building connections, but about building connections and bridges between pieces of information, connections and bridges between pieces of information to enable circumventing, to enable, I think enable just requires an in, correct? Oh, nope, it's a E-N-B. All right. To enable circumventing the inhibition mechanisms. Circumventing, so circum is going to be the S prefix, turns the O to the beginning of the line of writing. Circum and vent, there's circumvent. Circumventing the inhibition mechanism in the right moment. Circumventing the inhibition mechanism in the right moments, to enable circumventing the inhibition mechanism in the right moments. In the right moments. Period. It is about making sure that the right cues, it is about making sure that the right cues, that the right cues trigger the right memory. Trigger the right memory. Comma, about how we can think strategically about how we could think, and then strategically So that's going to be ST strategic. Let's see what strategic is. Strategic. Strategic. How do you spell that? T-E. There we go. Strategic. And then we do... Oh, so it was almost there. Oh, yes, the T. And then this is strategically, like so. Strategically, to remember the most useful information, to remember the most useful information when we need it. When we need it. Good. Wow. Okay, so let's go back and read over that paragraph again. Starting here. It is difficult, if not, the F really does need to be just a little bit longer. There we go. If not impossible to do his thing, to verify this claim. But it does make sense to shift the attention from the question of how to prevent information from getting lost or decaying over time. Let's make over just a little bigger. Over time, to how to keep access to it. How to keep access to it. Let me check keep just once. Yes, how to keep access to it. Okay, so let's go ahead and fix that. Here we go. How to keep access to it. How, quote, how accessible it is at, how accessible, where is that? It is at a given point in in time, quote, end quote, therefore depends on, quote, how entrenched or interassociated that representation is with related representations in memory. Oh, that's a mouthful. Okay. Bjork 2011, page 2. Therefore, it depends on how entrenched or associated that representation is with related representations in memory. Learning would be not so much about saving information. Learning would not be so much about saving information like on hard disk, but about building connections and bridges. Oh, let's make the R just a little smaller. So let's go bridges. B R, like that. Bridges. Between pieces of information to enable to enable circumventing the inhibition inhibition mechanism, circumventing the inhibition mechanism in the right moment. Mechanism in the right moment. It is about making sure. Let me check sure. Yes, that's it. Just need to make it just a little bit smaller. Making sure that the right quote cues trigger the right memory. Trigger the right memory about how we can think strategically, about how we could or can. How we can think strategically. So, how we can think strategically to, let's move this up just a little bit, to remember the moment, the most useful information when we need to. Now let's do useful. Useful information when we need to. Wow, that was sometimes just one of those sentences or one of those paragraphs is just so tricky. It's interesting how that happens. I'm not sure if that's caused by the mind getting sidetracked, or if the wording itself is different vocabulary, but it's fascinating. Here we go. This is far from self-evident. Curves back in on itself, right? D and T, so it goes the other way. Self-dent. Evident. Evident. Yep. And then self-evident puts it forward. So let's check this out. We have self here, and then den. Self-evident. This is far from self-evident. If we look at the current state of education, if we look at the current, I think that's current, right? It needs a vowel. At the current state of, if we look at the current state of education, comma, especially the learning strategies, especially the learning here we go, strategies again, right? Strategies. No, we need the T going up. That's right. Learning strategies. Have enough room if we go like this. Oh. ST. There we go. Strategies. Fix this a little bit. Especially the learning strategies most students employ. Let me confirm that that is strategies before I go on. Correct. Most students employ. Most students employ, so that would be employ, like so. Most students employ, comma, we see that the vast majority of all learning, we see that the vast majority, let's see what majority is. Disjointed R. The vast majority of all learning still aims to prevent. Of all learning still aims to prevent. Let's see, is that prevent? Fix the P a little bit more, a little higher up. To prevent memories from getting lost. Memories from getting lost. Comma, even though it probably can't get lost. Even though it can't get lost. Period. It is still mostly about remembering isolated facts. It is still... what is mostly? Curves up. Still mostly about remembering isolated facts. Mostly about remembering and then isolated. So this is the isolated. Check that. about remembering isolated facts. And not so much about building connections. And not so much about building connections. Period. That is what learning psychologists have rightly given the derogative term cramming. This is what learning psychologists, this is what learning psychologists have rightly given the term, given the derogative term, given the, and then derogative, let's see if I can figure it out. Derogative. Let's see if something like that. Derogative. No need for the A vowel, but everything else is the same. Derogative. Term, quote, cramming, close quote, colon, the attempt to reinforce, the attempt to, and then reinforce, and solidify. So let's check reinforce. Reinforce is not there, but how about re-in? It would just be reinforce. Interesting. Reinforce. Oh, interesting. That's right, because it's a difference in the spelling. Yes, to reinforce. So we go up. We have R. In FS. To reinforce. The ability to reinforce and solidify, the attempt to reinforce and solidify information in the brain. To reinforce and solidify. Solidify. So that's lidif. Let's see if that's correct. Solidify. Solidify. Oh, it's a diff. Solidify. Information in the brain by repetition. By repetition. Repetition. So this is RE. This is reps, I think, right? By reption. Let's see if might require the whole thing repetition. It does, yeah. Rep and then tion. So T and then the shun symbol for repetition. Like so. It is basically hammering facts into the brain. It is basically hammering, so hammering facts into the brain as if they were carvings on an ancient stone tablet. As if they were carvings. So car. Probably just KR. KR Ving. Carvings. See if that's the case. Carve and then carvings. Yep. Would then have it attached afterwards. All right. So that's carvings. Carvings. On an ancient, into the brain as if they were carvings on an ancient stone tablet. On an ancient. Oh yeah, this is the one I haven't come across yet. Ancient. Ancient. Unshunt. Let me check that. Ancient. Yeah, ancient's not in there. So ancient. Stone tablet. Tablet. T. Tablet. No need for the T. Huh. That one's gonna take a while to lock in for some reason. Tablet. All right, almost. Nice. Tablet. Using fancy words. Using fancy words. Fancy. Like using fancy words and describe. So describing it. Fix that shape here. And describing it as, quote, strengthening of the connections between neurons. Strengthening. Let's try. Strengthen. Just add an N to it. Boy, once again, Sonke can be rather dry in his attacks on people. It's pretty funny. Strengthening of the connections between neurons. Between neurons. I don't know if I have neurons. Let's check that. N-E-U. N-E-U. No, don't have neurons. We do have neuron and then neuroethics, so I'll have to add neuron to the list. Neurons. Neurons. All right. Okay. Neurons. Close quote. Does not change the futility of the attempt. So neurons, between neurons, does not change the futility of the attempt. Does not change the futility of the attempt. Futility. Futile. So that's futile. And then E, futility. Let's see. Futility. Futility. Oh, disjointed L. Disjointed L. So we have futility and then added to that. So here we go. Futility of the attempt. Of the attempt. All right. And that's the end of that paragraph. So now we go ahead and read back over it. And then that is page 99. We get to page 100. Wow. All right. So going back, previous section. Page, this is far from self-evident, is what we're looking for. This is far from self-evident. Where is that guy? There it is. This is far. And so here I need to put the paragraph marker, and we begin. This is far from self-evident. From self-evident. If we look at the current state of education, if we look at the current state of education, especially, yes, just checking especially. Yep. Especially the learning strategies most students employ, we see, here we go, we see that the vast majority of all learning still aims to prevent memories from getting lost, even though it cannot get lost. It is still mostly about remembering isolated facts, and in so much, and in so much, and in not so much, and not so much about building connections. This is what learning psychologists have rightfully, oh wait, rightful is different. It's are rightfully. Let's see if that's correct. Yes, rightful. And so we put that underneath. Have rightfully given the derogatory term cramming. The attempt to reinforce and solidify information in the brain by repetition. It is basically hammering facts into the brain as if they were carvings on an ancient stone tablet, using fancy words and describing it and describing it as, quote, strengthening of the connections between neurons does not change the futility of the attempt. And that ends the paragraph. Whew. All right. Page 100. If instead we focus on the question of how to circumvent, if instead we focus on the attempt, on the question of how to circumvent. So let's see if the V is a little bit too curved down. So let's go circumvent, and we come back up, and then here. To circumvent the inhibition mechanism, let's add another page below. This is going to be page 16. There we go. Save the file first. And now we have how to take smart notes. Still section 11, page 16. If instead we focus on the question to circumvent, we confirm circumvent again. And that is, oh, it curves. It's inside, doesn't face away. Okay, so let's fix that. To circumvent the inhibition mechanism, the try this again, inhibition. Is that inhibition? I don't know. My mind's doing funny things now. I think I'm a little tired. Yep, that's it. If instead we focus on the question to circumvent the inhibition mechanism, mechanism, comma, we instantly start to think strategically. We instantly, Ah, very nice. It's a small one. Instant, it's in S. we instantly start to think strategically. Start to think, and we get strategic. Yay! Strategically about what kind of cues, about what kind of cues should trigger the retrieval of a memory, should trigger the retrieval of a memory, and how to increase the interconnectedness of information, and how... Oh, hold on. Did I read that? Yes, yeah, I did. Good, good. We focus, and how to increase the interconnectedness of information, and how to increase the interconnectedness of information. Interconnectedness of information. There are no natural cues. There are no natural yes, NATR and then L. Cues. Okay, there are no natural cues. Colon, every piece of information can become the trigger. Every piece of information can become the trigger for another piece of information. For another piece of information. There can be associations like the scent of a sweet. There can be, there are no natural cues. Every piece, let's see, can be a trigger for another piece of information. These can be associations. These can be associations like the scent of a sweet, like the scent of a sweet. Like the scent of a sweet. Huh. as the Madeleine triggered childhood memories for Proust. Such a neat idea. Can be associations like the scent of a sweet. And sweet. Sweet. That is S-U-E-T. Oh, why am I blanking on that? Let's take a look. Sweet. Ah, okay, there we go. Sweet. Comma, as the Madeleine triggers, as the Madeleine triggers childhood memories. Ah, childhood is the, oh no, that's children. Childhood's different. It goes child. Is it childhood? Let's see. Child and then hood. Hoot, hoot. I'll try it and we'll see. Childhood. Childhood. Separate terms. Okay. Good, good. So we go childhood. Memories for Proust. Memories for Proust. I don't think I've ever read Proust before. Proust. Comma. But this kind of flashback. But this kind of flashback. Flashback. Flash. Ooh, this is a big term. Flash back. Let's see. Maybe it's a little bit shortened or truncated, but flashback is not a word. Flash. And yeah, so that's flash, and then back, of course, is the other one. I think I would keep those two terms separate from each other, similar to childhood, where even though it is one word, it looks better if it's kept on the right next to each other. So flashback. Okay. What was that? That's this kind of flashback is called involuntary. Is called, quote, involuntary. So this is where we have and then tary, does it just go up? And then involuntary. Oh, yes, I did this one. Ah, yes. Okay, let's see. It goes in, re. There we go. Whoa. Hey, is that it? Involuntary? Yes. Whew, finally. Hey, I like that. Involuntary memory. Memory. Okay. Close down quotation. For a reason. It's called involuntary memory for a reason. Colon. We can't retrieve it on purpose. We can't retrieve it on purpose. PRPR, I believe. Correct? PRPR is purpose? Purpose? No, just PRP. Okay. PRP. We can't retrieve it on purpose. Then there are the accidental cues. Then there are the accidental. That's accident. And then all ending maybe? Let's take a look at accidental. Accidental. Oh, wow, that's interesting. Axel. Axon. That's fascinating. Okay. Double S. Little tricky. Come on, there we go. Accidental. Like a so. That's accidental cues. That become attached to information. That become attached. A-T-C-H? T? Is that attached? Let's see. I mean, it's in the ballpark. So the A-T is a little shorter, and then the CH, and then the E, and then the D, little T stroke comes up above. So attached, like so, okay? That becomes attached to information when we learn, comes attached to information when we learn something in a particular environment. When we learn something in a particular environment. Environ. Is that environment? Let's see. Let's see here. Oh, environment. Okay, pretty close. We just need a little longer stroke, and I have got 20 seconds left, then my time's up. Environment. And that was the end of the sentence. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and call it, 5 seconds. This will be my last study session for the evening because I have some other obligations to get to tonight. Some preparation for church tomorrow. And then, of course, I don't study on Sunday. I use that time to write and to think and then just rest and recover. So that's it for tonight. What is it, 5:32? Not bad. Was able to get, 6 hours in today, give or take a little bit. If we take a look at 2 hours, 30 minutes, more or less. So anyway, like I said, I really appreciate being able to put as much time into this process as I possibly can, knowing full well that this upcoming month, I'm going to have to split my time between doing shorthand and essentially as I said, academic training, and the real work of mathematics and presentation of lectures and taking notes and preparing coursework and working out solutions and yada, yada, yada. It all goes on and on and on. But anyway, it was a good day and got through some good information. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening and are using your time to the fullest. And it's just I don't know what else to say. I'm just thankful to be able to learn this skill and to really work hard to see it through to completion. So Thank you so much and have a good evening. Bye-bye.